Hi everyone in the world of cloud computing, and welcome to episode 3 of the Cloud Computing Australia show with Brad Nelson and the world's #1 cloud computing industry expert and thought leader, David Linthicum. This show is sponsored by Nelson Hilliard, the cloud computing recruitment specialist, placing great people in cloud, IoT, fintech and AI. In this week's show, David and I will be discussing are Australian companies and hypergrowth in IT and cloud computing in danger of a tech bubble bursting, similar to the United States. Hi Dave, welcome back from Vegas. I bet you're glad to be back to normality.
Yeah, I'm shy some money, but I'm glad to be back home and at the right amount of bandwidth for these videos. We struggled last week, didn't we?
Yeah, we did actually. It was a bit glitchy. Took a little bit. I think we did 1.5 runs or something on the show, and it was. But you know, it's one of those things, isn't it? With hotel bandwidth, sometimes it can be a bit hit and miss. And but I think we still got the content out there, and I think that's the most important thing. So you know, thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule in Vegas. I know you said you were 10 hours in your hotel room, but I think what other people didn't realise was that you were actually performing at various different conferences. Is that right, in Vegas?
Yeah, I was at CA World in Vegas, and then earlier that week I was at Structure in South San Francisco. So I did a duality in terms of speaking last week, which is a lot of work. So it's a lot of work doing speaking gigs and a lot of videos like we're doing now, and a lot of talking to the press. And just at the end of the day, I'm just wiped. You know, and also the time difference too doesn't help.
No, exactly, and I always appreciate your giving us the time and your knowledge to share on the Cloud Computing Australia show, the training show, and the C-suite show. I think we covered some really interesting topics, and we're only 3 weeks into this now, so it's really cool, and it's you know, you're getting some great reaction on Twitter, I've heard.
Yeah, I'm getting tweets all the time encouraging the show. The podcast went away when I left Cloud Technology Partners. A lot of people were looking for, you know, where to look for some very quick and quality content, and I've been pointing them to this show because it's absolutely the best in terms of understanding what's going on in the world of cloud computing.
Fantastic. And yeah, I've been thinking about actually doing the audio on a podcast, so yeah, I might have to pick your brains on that. I've researched some things, and it doesn't seem to be too much of a challenge, but yeah, I may convert this into a podcast as well. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's a good idea. I always love podcasting. I've been a podcaster since 2001, before it was kind of cool to do podcasting. And it was, you know, early media at the time, and it was very difficult to get out there. But I just found that it's kind of taken over the world now because all the celebrities are podcasting. You can find podcasts on any topic or subject, no matter how obscure it is, you know, wine and food and things like that. And there's mystery podcasts and there's entertainment podcasts. And, you know, people are kind of breaking new ground with the podcast stuff. And I just think that everybody's looking for that 120 to 40-minute podcast that they can listen to on the treadmill to kind of get an understanding of what's going on in the world that they're involved with in business. And cloud computing is being, you know, probably the most important topic in IT in the last 20 years. And so, you know, cloud computing podcasts is the way to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think well, that's it. It's going to the top of my priority list to get an Apple iTunes podcast facilitated for all our shows, and that way we can distribute and everyone's got accessibility to the audio as well on their iPhones, as well as watching our faces talk, Dave, from across the world. And you're in Washington DC, and I'm in sunny Melbourne at the moment. We're at 32 degrees for the last, I don't know, 8 or 9 days, which has been insane.
You need to say Celsius after that, because in 32 degrees is where water freezes in the United States.
Yeah, I'm freezing.
Yes, you're freezing.
I'm that cool. Anyway, we're on the Australia show this week, and there's a great question that I've got for you with regards to your thoughts on this. Would be fantastic to get. So, with the hypergrowth in IT and cloud computing, are Australian companies in a danger of heading into a tech bubble that was similar to the thing that burst in the United States, Dave?
Yeah, I don't think so. But that question is being asked a lot. But it is kind of funny to mention. I just got back from some cloud computing events last week, and you couldn't swing a dead cat without hitting an Australian, because there were absolutely tons of companies there. They're in the United States market, the European market, they're in the Asia Pacific market. And they're booming right now in terms of innovation, in terms of some of the investments that are coming in there. You know, we had an article I posted to you. You know, ABS research, on IT use and innovation in Australia business 2015-2016 has found that just under a third of Australian businesses reported the use of paid paid cloud computing services, 31%. That's way more than the United States right now. So you're talking about you have a culture, a business culture is able to adopt and innovate new technology. And then you have an enterprise business, typical in global 2000 companies that are in Australia, they're adopting this technology. And that seems to be kind of a 1-2 punch.
Yeah.
I think that the difference is that there's not going to be a lot of ongoing public stuff that's going to exist in Australia. There's going to be some key, angel investing and some venture capital investing. But we're not going to get to a bubble where you're going to get overvalued companies that are going to get into the market and they're going to end up tripping up and the thing's going to collapse and lots of people are going to lose a lot of money. So I don't think that's going to happen this time in Aussie.
Well, that's it's a nice thing to hear, isn't it? And as you've been around for a bit in this industry, I'm sure people will be breathing a sigh of relief on hearing that news. I mean,
I've lost a lot of money.
Sorry?
I've lost a lot of money.
Yeah, I'm sure you have. And I think, Microsoft did a survey back in 2016, and they've already found, even back then, we're nearly almost 2 years ago, give or take, that there's already 40% of Australian businesses that are already using hybrid cloud technology, and that is predicted to increase to 49% in the next 12 to 18 months. So we're probably already tipping that 49%, aren't we?
Yeah, I guarantee you are, just kind of based on the the data points that I'm getting out of Australia and the interest in computing and the people are reaching out to me and the companies that are starting to come up. Cloud technology partners, we had partnerships early on with Australian-based companies in terms that we're doing DevOps and we're doing cloud-based systems way before. It was kind of cool to do that. And so this willingness to go on the bleeding edge and willingness to have people invest on companies that are willing to go on the bleeding edge is really what's driving a lot of this. And the thing is, it's Australian companies don't seem to be afraid of technology. Where in the United States and some of the European areas, they're very conservative, and cloud computing is a big shift in terms of how they're doing IT. And it seems to be something that Australians are embracing, and they should be embracing it because they'll differentiate and provide a strategic advantage for their business, and they'll be able to beat competitors worldwide.
I think you're right. Australia, certainly for me and the meetings I have, the embracing of the innovation for change and the want to change. It's an inherent thing. I think they want, there is a want for change, and I think it's refreshing because you can talk to someone from the UK and they're set in their ways. They don't really want to change, and the market changes at such an amazing rate. But yet you speak to someone like their Australian counterpart, and they're like, "We got to do this. Let's head to the pub and talk about it." It's great. Yeah. So I think we need to start a Twitter or a Twitter campaign to get your good self over to Australia, so we can do a David Linthicum Down Under tour or something like that. What do you think? Are you up for that?
I'm up for that. I'll make it to Australia sometime soon, probably sometime next year. I used to go there every year and absolutely loved it. I spent 2 weeks there. So I'm willing to come back anytime. I'll learn to speak the language.
Yeah, just say good day, and you'll be fine. I'm English, so I try it, and with the long hair and stuff, everyone goes, "Oh, you're from Queensland and you're a surfer," and then I start talking, and they're like, "Oh, he's a bloody pommy." And it's like, okay, there's a, what do you think? Okay, the list is, what do you think of the rugby? What do you think of the cricket? And do you follow Aussie rules football? And so you tick these things off. If you can answer all three, you're going to be okay. But if you stumble at any point, they'll be going, "Oh yeah, don't talk to him anymore."
Yeah, and I think I made the mistake of wearing a South African rugby T-shirt down there into a pub. Yeah, I almost got beat up.
Yeah, no, that's true. It depends on the pub. I think if you're out in the sticks or out in the bush, it gets very personal. I think in the cities like Melbourne, especially in Sydney, I think it's more tolerated, but people still will move away from you.
Well, I won't know why.
Yeah, no, exactly right. It's funny. Well, thanks, David. I've really enjoyed our show this week, and I think we've covered a really interesting point, as you say. I think those questions are out there, and they are at the back of people's minds. People are fearful, really, of their next move or their next investment, and the fact you've just covered that off is absolutely awesome, Dave. So thanks again for being part of the Australia show.
It's my pleasure. Go out there and innovate and spend some money, Australians, because it'll come back to you 20-fold.
Exactly right. And we want to get Mr. David Linthicum down under for a down under tour, which would be awesome. So get this retweeted out there, this show, and we'll hopefully next year see Dave out here in the good old down under world. Well, thanks very much for watching this show, and remember to like, comment and subscribe so you don't miss out on this week's cloud computing news or the rest of the cloud computing shows that are coming up onto the Nelson Hilliard YouTube channel. And you can also reach David on Twitter at David Linthicum, and you can reach myself Nelson_Hilliard. So remember to retweet, share this. There's some great content coming up on the shows we've got planned. So thanks again for watching, everyone.